Hi, I am Isabel Lorijenski. I am the founder of the Mindful School of Nashville. I also run Perform Better. These are two different areas in which I work. One is in the area of education, and the other is personal coaching, executive coaching, and the business side of things. I am going to share with you today what is happening with our employees, what's happening with every single one of us as we are navigating to the world, and speak to you on intellectual and emotional sustainability in the workplace. What does that look like? Why it's important, and how it impacts your bottom line. Ultimately, investing on people and the well-being of the people who are currently working for you. What does it mean to your bottom line and what it represents in terms of dollar signs? So let's start here. This is just a little bit a visual of my life. I was born in Brazil. I moved to the United States on a full golf scholarship. I have been in the United States now for 26 or 27 years. These are many places I have studied and been around the world. And if you need more information about myself personally or professionally, all of it is laid out on my website. I am going to give you three perspectives today. The coaching industry is roughly a $2 billion industry in the United States. And I am going to explain to you from three different perspectives why there is so much money going around investing in people, investing on mental and emotional intelligence in the workplace, stability for employees, and why it is essential that you start considering spending more funds and more time investing in the quality of mind and the quality of well-being of your employees, or teachers or educators if you work at a school. So I will give you a human perspective, a neurological and physical perspective, and a financial perspective as to why this model is important. And let's go. So here we go. All right, human perspective. If you are in a room with me, for those of you who have listened to my presentations live, first thing I'm going to give to you is a raisin, and I am going to ask you to speak to me of this raisin. And every single person on the audience gets one, and ultimately I ask them to tell me what they know. And I hear all kinds of things. So we spend a few minutes debating about this raisin, and the bottom line is this. From a human perspective, if you look at this raisin, it's no different than a person, okay? We all have a story. We originated in this world somewhere. There's been an enormous amount of time, places, people, processes, things that have happened in each of our lives, us as people, and the raisin, so that the raisin here being the metaphor, that has impacted us as to who we are and how we operate in the world today. So we tend to go around the world thinking that just because we know a person's name, we know their husbands or wives, then we know they have 2 kids, or maybe they have a couple hobbies, they've been working for you for 2 or 3 years, we assume we know them. We know everything about them. And this person is walking around in the world just fine and operating just fine. The bottom line is this, is that we could sit here and talk about this raisin all day long. And at the end of the day, we really just don't know the story. We just don't know how this raisin has gotten to be right there on the palm of your hand, and what has transpired on the years and months behind it to make it what it is today. The same is for your employees. The same is for your teachers. The same is for your students. the person that is in front of you is someone that you know a few things about him or about her. You just don't know the whole story. So that is very important to keep in mind. If you think you know someone, you really don't. So then you go into the workplace and you go into school and you go into the classroom and you have a team of people who probably don't really know themselves very well, don't really know each other very well, and they have to work together. They have to collaborate, they have to contribute, they have to have life skills on communication, self-regulation, awareness. They have to be all kinds of things in order to align collaboratively to work for a common goal for your corporation, for your company, for your school, if they are teachers or administrators. So if I take a step further and I go over here into the raisin and I ask you to tell me, if you were the raisin and I ask you, tell me your story, how much do you really know about your own life? Like, when was the last time that you actually really stopped to reflect on the history of your life, the people who have impacted you, who have shaped you into who you are today? Most people come here, not only they don't really know the person right next to them, they have very little knowledge of who they are internally. So all of this opens opportunities for challenges, for conflicts, for a whole lot of learning that has to happen so people can work well together. Okay? So remember this. If you think you know the person that's right there in front of you, working for you, producing for you, the expectations that you have, go gently. Just realize that what you think you know about this person may not be the whole story, and chances are it's not the whole story. That immediately should bring you into a place of a little bit more compassion, empathy, patience, tolerance, understanding, being a little bit more diligent on your coaching, how you speak, how you lead around your corporation, and how you interact with others. Okay? All right. From a neurological, let's move my face out of the way, put myself right here. From a neurological and physical perspective, I'm going to say that there's an industry of $2 billion in the United States in supporting people mentally and emotionally, because most of us are walking through the world with a limbic system that is not fully regulated or balanced. Let's put it that way. So your limbic system, I'm going to show you here. This is your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, reasoning, all the decision making that happens in your day, in your life, comes from this place in your brain. Your amygdalas, there are two of them, one on each side of your brain. This is the emotional, reactive part of your brain. And this represents the hippocampus. The hippocampus is a small box on the back of your brain that holds information and experiences and memories. And those would be conscious and subconscious. So everything that you know, everything that you can remember, things that you have experienced in your life, get registered in this part of the brain. So on a given day, when you're calm, when you're peaceful, things are going well, your amygdala is rested. There is a great connection between the thinking, reasoning part of your brain to the hippocampus, where the information and your knowledge is stored, and you're walking about your world feeling good. You speak clearly, you're kind, you think well, you reason well, things are going okay. All right. when high emotions take place, when there is threat, when there's fear, when there is anxiety, when there's excessive amounts of worry, or even positive emotions, being super excited, incredibly enthusiastic about something, you're just so looking forward to something that's happening in your life that you just can't seem to settle. Any high emotion happening within your system is going to activate the amygdala, which ultimately the job of the amygdala is to just kind of sit there and be rested unless there is an imminent threat, and it's going to react and protect you, okay? But our goal is to walk through the world day in, day out, moment after moment, understanding that yes, we do have thoughts, we do have emotions, but we don't have to allow this amygdala to constantly activate and interfere with our actions in the world. So the goal is that the amygdala is rested. It's over there, sitting and aware and just in position in case it does need to alert us of something, and give space for your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, and your knowledge and the information that you have to communicate well and clearly so you go about the world making good decisions, okay? Second part of this neurological and physical perspective is that there is a nerve that runs down our body called the vagus nerve. It's connected to the prefrontal cortex and it runs all the way down, okay? It's connected to your lungs, to your heart, to your kidneys, to all of your organs in your system. You can't control the vagus nerve, but you can control the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of your brain. So the vagus nerve receives messages directly from the prefrontal cortex. So if you're thinking positive thoughts, your amygdala is rested and calm, you are in a good place mentally, the vagus nerve is receiving messages that things are all right and that you are okay. And chances are your heart is beating peacefully, you're breathing well, you have bowel movements, things are going okay. The moment things get really tense, negative thoughts, irritability, frustration, anger, the amygdala is activated, the prefrontal cortex is completely reactive. The message that it's sending to the vagus nerve is that, oh, there's tension here, and I am going to act on it. I'm going to tense everything up. Once it does, it sends that message to your entire nervous system. So thus, blood pressure issues, heart issues, kidney issues, bowel movement issues. All of us have a different response, physical response, from how we are doing mentally, okay? Mentally and emotionally, our physical body reacts in different ways. But it's important that you understand that the reason being is because of this connection that there is from your limbic system to the vagus nerve to all of the organs in your body. So what's happening in most places here in the United States, and I am going to say to you that I just came back from Spain to give a speech at a large bank, and the situation there is not any different. Maybe the severity, things are not as severe as they are here yet, but I did not see that things are much different on the other side of the ocean, okay? All right, so what happens when the let's talk about adrenaline and cortisol, and we're still neurological and physical perspectives, okay? When you have really high levels of adrenaline and cortisol in your body, what is happening is this. Your amygdala is reacted, it's activated, okay? This activation of the amygdala is going to generate adrenaline and cortisol into your nervous system. Most of us, if we're walking through our days completely stressed and worried and with an amygdala fully activated, the amount of adrenaline and cortisol that is running through your system is unsustainable. You just can't sustain this amount of hormones going through your system and be well in the world, okay? So remember, the first thing that's going to happen, it's going to impact this connection of you being able to think, access the information on the hippocampus, and making good decisions, clear decisions, okay? All of this happens when the amygdala, the emotional part of your brain, interferes with your thinking. So there you go, all of them. Take a minute to look at them. So a lot of us at schools, at work, employees, C-level executives, business owners, this is how we are operating in the world, okay? I'll go as far as saying that most of us operate in the world with 47% of the time, our waking time, we are distracted. Our minds are distracted. The inability that we have to focus this day, recently, in this day and age, is equivalent to around 47% of our awakened time. So think this through. I don't know if this applies to you, but are you distracted half percent of the time? I don't know. Maybe, hopefully not. Hopefully you're focused and paying attention to what you have to do. But these are the symptoms that are taking place, okay? Emotionally, mentally, physically, this is how high levels of adrenaline, cortisol have in your life and your day-to-day, moment-to-moment performance on what you do, okay? All right, so if these are not so good, then we need to say, okay, well, Bella, what do we need? Well, we need a little bit of dopamine, we need a little bit of oxytocin, we need a little bit of good positive hormones that we can offset some of these negative ones that are impacting us, okay? So in order for us to create these, this release of positive hormones in our body, the first thing that needs to happen is we need to learn how to calm down the emotional part of the brain. We need to know how to rest the amygdala. I already told you that we cannot control the emotional part of the brain, but I have told you that you can control the prefrontal cortex, the thinking and reasoning part of the brain. So ultimately, what we're trying to do when we are working with intellectual and emotional sustainability with any person in the workplace or your personal life, we're trying to empower people and educate individuals in understanding that you can control this part of your brain. We're going to teach you how to think. We're going to teach you how much you think, how to entertain your thoughts, where you're going to keep your mind in the future, in the past, how it impacts your emotions in the present tense. We're going to give you tools so that this part of your brain right here is so active and so strong that each and every time you realize that there is an activation of the emotional part of your brain, we're like, ooh, I know how to do this. I know how to self-regulate. It takes 90 seconds to rest your amygdala. Okay, and what I mean by 90 seconds, you need to practice. I mean, we practice when things are calm, when things are going okay, so that in moments of activation, in the heat of it, you're in the middle of a meeting, you are the leader of a company, you're a big CEO, everybody's looking up to you, somebody just said something who completely dysregulated you and made you so upset. Well, you've practiced, you've been working with me, and I have taught you how to calm this down in 90 seconds. And you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to self-regulate. You're not going to react and say that what you wanted to say at a moment of anger and frustration. And after the technique I teach you, you're going to then allow this part of your brain to take over, and you're going to conduct yourself in a professional, kind, respectful way. Say what you need to say. Keep going with your meeting. Okay? Same for teachers, same for managers, same for team leaders, same for whatever it is that you do. That is the work. This activates, you know how to self-regulate, and you're going to send good, positive messages of strength, self-regulation, and centeredness, not from your prefrontal cortex to your entire system, so that you feel better. So when you learn how to do this, you have an emotional and physical impact that's positive, okay? You're motivated, you feel connected to people, you can focus, you can pay attention, you have more memory, you find purpose in your life, things get better, overall, a lot of things get better. So for those of you who work with me, I say this all the time. We are not really going to spend too much time taking care of what's happening around us, because my job is to empower you. And when you learn how to self-regulate, everything around you is going to take care of itself. You will address moment to moment in your life, centered, prepared, focused, in full awareness of your own emotions, and you will know how to self-regulate. This is essential, okay? The most powerful person in the room is the one who is aware of what's happening with them, around them, within themselves, and know how to regulate quickly. Other than that, there isn't much we can do, because we can't control much of what's happening around us, but you can control this right here. I can teach you how. All right, from a financial perspective, right? So I gave you a human perspective. I gave you a neurological and physical perspective of what's happening and why people are in need of help and coaching. And I'm going to give you a financial perspective, okay? Where am I going to move my face? Okay, here we go. That sounds good. All right, so the cost to replace an employee in the United States is around 38% of that person's salary, okay? There is a minimum impact of 3 people every time somebody goes in 3 different departments. You have to get human resources involved. You have to train. You have to find that person. I mean, you name it. You're business people. You are educators. You work in schools. You know the amount of work, time, energy, and the cost that impacts replacing somebody when you lose somebody is enormous. Okay, so you can potentially also lose your customers because you just lost an employee, and we don't really know if the person who is going to take over is going to be capable of maintaining the same level of customer service. So there is a huge amount of overload for the person that stays, which, what is this going to do? It's going to make sure that the people who stayed in your company when you just lost somebody are operating right here. So what's happening in their lives? More adrenaline, more cortisol. You lost an employee. The people who stayed are now even more stressed, more irritable, more worried, more tired. Okay? All right. Very good. So let me tell you, this is very surprising to me. When I spend time in companies and corporations, I am going to tell you that I understand that there are a lot of things that are not tangible and they are not quantifiable, okay? But when I ask to see a profit and loss statement, there are not too many companies out there who are doing a really great job on really understanding how much money they are spending on turnover. They're not. I'm talking about this. There is a lot of what is right here on this slide that is tangible and that is quantifiable. And whether I am here in the United States, in Brazil, in Spain, when and if I touch on this subject right here, things are just not looking that great. The bottom line is this. Let me give you some examples. These are very simple, okay? Let's say, this is just an example, because I live in Nashville, Tennessee. So let's just say that I go to Vanderbilt University, and there is a department of 10 scientists or teacher researchers or whatever. They're researching and they have to develop a common goal and come up with a common solution for a project that the university is putting together. Again, just giving you an example, okay? So each one of these scientists makes $100,000 a year. Individually, they're incredible. They go do their research, they do their work, they sit behind the computer, and they work their tail off. Wonderful. Comes the end of the month, the end of 6 weeks, they come together on a round table, and there are 10 of them, and they have to actually, out of all of their independent research, come up with the solution and resolution to align to the goal that was proposed to them so that they can move on to the next thing. They can't do it. They can't get along. They are fighting for power. Their research is the most important one. We are not going to collaborate. The meeting cannot last any longer than 15, 20 minutes, and they are already arguing. Okay? So let's say that I come in and I spend 6 weeks speaking and teaching and working with these individuals. Keep in mind, they all make $100,000 a year. Okay? So it does not matter how much I charge. I will not charge $38,000 of my fee to save an employee. But if I go there for 6 weeks and I save them, that's what I'm saving you. I'm saving you a turnover, and I am saving you all of this headache right here. And my fee, my work, is a whole lot less than 38% of the people that I am working with or for trying to retain. And working to retain, and ultimately retaining, because the work works, okay? So the outcome most of the time is very positive. So why is it that corporations are investing on life coaches and executive coaches and bringing people to spend time to equip individuals intellectually and emotionally so that the workplace is sustainable, so that they want to stay, so that they feel good? All right, I don't really know what is happening to the camera here, but I'll just keep speaking with my voice. So anyway, why is it that there are $2 billion going around and around and around in investing on intellectual and emotional well-being for employees? Because it works. Because when you equip people and you give people tools to be well within themselves, to learn how to interact with others, to understand what's happening within themselves and around them, they collaborate better, they think better, they work better. Okay, so when you get people over here from being extremely reactive, in this case these 10 people around the table, to calm themselves down, to reason, to think through things, they are able to collaborate. They're able to get to the goal, meet the goal, and move past onto the next project that, in this case, Vanderbilt would have for them. Otherwise, they just get stuck and they just keep arguing. But while they are arguing and things are not moving forward, every single one of them is getting paid $100,000 of their salary, and things are just not getting better, okay, until one of them gets fed up, and then they quit, and their research is lost, and then here we go. We have all this mess going on. So, if you look at the work that I do, I am a person who brings into your workspace and to each individual in your space individual internal tools. Okay, so you have tangible, practical tools. You have amazing internet, beautiful workplaces, comfortable chairs, amazing views. And I am your internal tool person. I come in and I equip your people to be resilient, to be purposeful, to be conscious, to be self-regulated, to have awareness of what's happening with them, so that they can then transfer their well-being and their capacity to think well into their collaborative work, to have tolerance and understanding, respect, kindness, cooperation, connection, empathy, communication, and throughout all of this work to meet the company's goals. And ultimately, what I am doing for you is I am creating a culture, a positive work place and workspace with a positive culture where people are feeling good, they're doing well, they feel valued because there are others investing in them. They're self-regulated chances are they're smiling and feeling good, and I am saving you money because you're not losing employees. Okay. So that's it. So that is my work. I go into schools, I go into corporations, I work with individuals, I work with C-level executives to help you navigate your life just a little bit better, for you to have some kind of mental and emotional stability in your day. It is important that you understand this. My methodology is very simple. When I talk about modules and tools, I'm talking about what are the ways in which I teach you to self-regulate. We look at all of these capacities independently. What are the tools that you need to achieve this, and how are you going to transfer it here? And that's it. This is the work that I do. I just thank you for listening. Most of you do know this. I speak Portuguese, Spanish, and English, so I do this work in all three languages. And just, which is what WhatsApp is here, is the way of communication for communicating with all international countries outside of the United States. And if any of this resonates with you and makes sense to you, and you're in need of support and guidance, call me. We're going to figure out how we can work together and change the culture of your place, of your space, of your school, impact people, and leave them equipped with tools. And ultimately, this is what you want. You want to equip each and every individual in front of you and around you and yourself to live well, to live balanced, to live centered. The work starts right here. All right. Thanks for listening. I hope that you have a great day.